angers you guys or motivates you? What is that emotion?
Absolutely, but it's fine, though.
So, can you interpret that for me? I couldn't decide exactly. Is he being like? What was he actually saying?
He's saying y'all keep on doing what y'all doing. We're gonna do our thing, but y'all underestimate us, and we hear you. But watch us do our work.
So yes, that brings us to, I sort of want to position it this way. Like, we now continue the Cowboys season, which had been interrupted by this ridiculous self-inflicted drama that they just put themselves through, or the owner of the team put them through over the last 4 weeks or so. If we were to go back before that, back in a time before this Micah thing completely consumed all of the oxygen in and around the Cowboys, there were some people, and I was one of them, saying, this team's going to be sneaky good. This offense could be really good. When Dak Prescott is healthy, they win. That's not an opinion. No. It's a statement of fact. And they may have, if George Pickens is as good as some hope he can be, and he certainly has the motivation being in a contract year, they could have a pretty good, one of the best 1-2 punches at wide receiver. I think the Cowboys are going to be sneaky good.
I think they're going to score a lot of points. And the defense, is going to have to come together without its best player. But, Matt Eberflus is pretty good at coaching defense. They didn't have him all through camp. So, I think, the Cowboys, to your point, when Dak Prescott has played a fully healthy season, they've generally been a playoff team. And 2 years ago, he was the runner-up for the MVP award, and that was before they had George Pickens. So, I think there's reason to be optimistic about the offense at the very least.
So let's try and decide how many points we think they're going to need to score to win this game on Thursday night against Philadelphia. And before you start envisioning the answer to that question in your mind, let me quickly remind you of the 2 meetings between these teams last year. Now, Dak Prescott didn't play in either of those games. He was injured. But Dak Prescott doesn't play defense. So he wasn't responsible for 34-6. He wasn't responsible for 41-7. By the way, that 41 came without Jalen Hurts. Kenny Pickett was the quarterback in that game. So, J-Mac, now that we've seen that, the Eagles scored 75 points in their 2 matchups with a defense that had Micah Parsons last year. How many points do the Cowboys need to score to win on Thursday night?
You're going to take me through that whole graphic and then ask me the question? I'm going to say 55 points in order to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The one thing I will say, as a defender, looking at those scores is just nauseating. But at the same time, from a game plan standpoint, when you don't have Dak Prescott and you're out there on defense, we got to gamble. We got to find some way to impact this game. So I don't think it's going to be the 50 points that they're going to need to score. I'll say 30 points gets them a victory.
We were looking at the games this morning. You were telling me there was like a ton of fumbles, right? Weren't there? There was some freaky stats.
The Cowboys fumbled 6 times in the 2 games against the Eagles last year, and the Eagles recovered all 6. So that doesn't make the difference in those scores, but you could make the case with their quarterback back healthy that the gap shouldn't be that large. The second game, the Kenny Pickett game, Saquon Barkley had 31 carries. The Cowboys couldn't do anything about it. 167 rushing yards. They couldn't do anything to stop him. Presumably, they have focused their efforts this offseason on getting better against the run, and we'll see. We'll find out.
So then to circle it back to the Cowboys offense, you made this point. D-Wood touched on it for a moment, but could you expand on that? The one area where the Cowboys may have a really big advantage they can exploit.
Well, Darius Slay is gone. He was one of the cornerbacks in Philly for the last few years. The cornerback that starts opposite Quinyon Mitchell, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, this is why you went and got George Pickens. No matter where they align that guy, you have CeeDee Lamb and you have George Pickens. Take your opportunities on the outside. Whenever Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, gives it an opportunity to be one-on-one, whether it's Keely Ringo, whether it's Adoree Jackson, you have to take those opportunities and throw the ball down the field.
Hembo, put the prop up there. What is the prop on George Pickens' receiving yards in this game? I'd be interested in that because J-Mac said that in our meeting this morning. He said it again now. I'm kind of thinking that could be a little tasty over. Do you see that as a big advantage for the Cowboys?
Absolutely. Listen, Quinyon Mitchell, going into the second year, he's already one of the best cornerbacks we have in the National Football League. So, the cornerback opposite him is going to get a lot of work. And if I'm Dallas, that's where I'm going right off the rip.
And they've had Adoree Jackson. They were hoping Keely Ringo. They made a trade in the middle of camp for a cornerback, which is a sign that they weren't happy with what they had at the position. So they are still piecing that part of it together.
So the over-under you see there, good work, Hembo, from Pickens, is 56.5 receiving yards. I tell you, I like that, and I like the Cowboys with the points in this game. The line went from 6.5 to 7.5.
That's a lot.
I know that they gave up 75 points in these matchups last year. everything, the script seems too
also
one-sided.
It's week 1. Usually defense is ahead of offense. Yeah. There's a lot of things that goes on in week 1. So, like, I don't see like this 40 burger or anything. I think it'll be a lot closer week 1.
We'll find out. The season starts with a bang Thursday night. We'll
got a first glimpse of Micah Parsons at Packers practice yesterday. Sources telling our Adam Schefter that Parsons may need an injection for a sprain in his back prior to his Green Bay debut Sunday against the Lions. All right, there are just 2 skinny little days until this season kicks off. It's time for our first Overreaction Tuesday of the season. Dan Graziano is here. We're going to get some gravitas with him. Why don't we start with Green Bay?
Sure.
Okay, the Packers will win the NFC, Dan. Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
Not an overreaction. I think they are firmly in the mix to potentially win the NFC. I thought that a week ago, and then they make the trade for Micah Parsons, which I think is their way of trying to leave no doubt that they are a top contender. The only teams Green Bay lost to last year, other than the throwaway game at the end of the year against the Bears, were the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles. That's it. Those were the top 3 teams in the NFC. They feel like they are right there with those teams and just need to, figure out how to beat them in order to get where they want to go. But yeah, Detroit's undergoing some change. Minnesota undergoing some change. Green Bay looks primed to make a run.
That last year NFC North was an absolute heavyweight fight the duration of the season. Dan, a healthy Aaron Rodgers makes the Steelers an AFC contender. Is this an overreaction?
I still think it is an overreaction. Okay. I think, Aaron Rodgers at age 41, a long time removed from his most recent playoff success. The Steelers a long time removed from their most recent playoff success. Could the combination work? In theory, yes, but I think a lot has to go right for this Steelers team to be more than what it has been in recent years, which is that, 9-8, 10-7, 6th or 7th seed in the AFC playoffs. They're trying to elevate beyond that, and their hope is that Aaron Rodgers can do that for them at age 41, 42 by the end of the season. I just think it would be, I think it feels a little far-fetched.
Sure.
You mentioned playoff success. I mean, the Chiefs have had plenty of that, but how's this for a statement? The Broncos will overtake the Chiefs and win the AFC West. Dan, overreaction or not an overreaction?
It's an overreaction, and while I do think the Broncos will have a very good team this year, I think the Kansas City Chiefs will be better than they were last year when, by the way, they finished 5 games ahead of the Broncos in the standings, even after handing the Broncos a free one in Week 18 when they rested their starters. Chiefs got better on the offensive line. Their first-round pick, Josh